When three med school grads decided to switch careers, they founded a video game company called BioWare. And while their first game, Shattered Steel, didn't leave a huge impact on the gaming world, their sophomore effort was the legendary RPG Baldur's Gate. Suddenly finding themselves one of the hottest studios around, the guys at BioWare wanted to continue on with the franchise, but at the same time, didn't want to get locked into one style. So when Baldur's Gate's publisher, Black Isle, mentioned that they needed a developer to make a sequel to Shiny's MDK, the masters of RPGs decided it was time to develop 3 games simultaneously. A sequel that had to be even bigger than the original, an RPG designed to be redesigned, and a 3D shooter unlike anything they'd done before. Like their previous games, Shiny's MDK was a quirky and oddball game with a zany art style and goofy sense of humor. So when it was announced that the makers of the serious Baldur's Gate would be developing the sequel, fans of the franchise were initially nervous that they would turn the game into a pretentious piece of dramatic art. Fortunately, even doctors could appreciate gun-toting dogs. BioWare completely embraced the loony nature of MDK and crafted a sequel that was every bit as strange, weird, and wonderful as the first.
We could destroy their power supply so they stop jamming us.
No, I've got a better plan. You should destroy their power supply so they stop jamming us.
The mad scientist, talking dog, and heroic janitor from the first game all returned, and this time, all 3 were playable characters. What was more, the 3 characters played completely different, highlighting the different personalities of the protagonist.
From now on, we've got to use our heads. A few snazzy gizmos and we're home free.
Doc, I'd rather get in and out before we're even noticed.
I'm tired of being subtle. Let's put this sissy down.
The scientist focused on puzzles, the dog on shooting, and the janitor on platforming. All 3 worked well and were truly bizarre in their own ways, to the delight of relieved fans. When it released in 2000, the title received stellar reviews, with many stating that the sequel actually surpassed the beloved original. BioWare's reputation for quality remained untarnished, and they proved that they could do more than just follow rulebooks. On top of all this, MDK2 was also BioWare's first foray into console gaming, since it was developed for the Dreamcast along with the PC. That experience would be vital for some of the company's later projects. As if one major release for 2000 wasn't enough, later that year BioWare released Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Amn. After the mammoth success of the first one, the guys knew that it was going to take a lot of work to live up to the good name they had established. But even with all that pressure and much of their staff working on other titles, when it released, Baldur's Gate 2 was universally praised as bigger, better, and more beautiful than its predecessor. It didn't break any ground the way the first game had, but it refined and polished what was already there to near perfection. With yet another outstanding narrative and hundreds of hours of gameplay in total, it is considered one of the finest RPGs ever made. If the first Baldur's Gate had established BioWare as a AAA developer, Baldur's Gate 2 cemented it. With 2 of their projects finally released, the company still had 1 game left to finish. They had made the Baldur's Gate franchise a success with their trademark attention to quality and detail, but they were also smart enough to realize that the modding community had helped drive sales. Combined with the emerging popularity of MMOs, the company decided to combine single-player campaigns, multiplayer mechanics, and mod-friendly tools into one package that could be played any way the gamer chose. After 5 years of work, the result was Neverwinter Nights in 2002. It was a loose remake of AOL's Neverwinter Nights from 1991, the first graphical MMO ever. Another Dungeons & Dragons game set in the Forgotten Realms, it once again featured an enormous campaign with an in-depth story which could be played either alone or in multiplayer co-op. But Neverwinter Nights also released with an expansive editing toolset. In fact, the same toolset that BioWare had actually built the game with. What's more, The toolset supported multiplayer gaming, which meant that it would be incredibly easy for modders to build community-based games. Not surprisingly, it wasn't long before wildly different game types started hitting the internet. From completely new campaigns, to hack-and-slash fighters, to persistent MMOs. All of which could be played for the price of one core game, which itself was hailed, once again, as a masterpiece. This already made for one of the most content-rich packages in gaming history, but that wasn't enough for BioWare. Bringing another pillar of the D&D experience into their game, Neverwinter Nights included a Dungeon Master multiplayer mode. One player would act as an authorial figure, able to edit the game in real time as other gamers played through the quest. This made for an ever-changing, dynamic experience that could be modeled as the Dungeon Master saw fit. Exciting, challenging, or outright goofy. However they wanted to play it, just like in a classic pen-and-paper game of D&D. Having developed 3 games at once and found both commercial success and critical praise with all of them, BioWare had absolutely dominated the realm of video game RPGs and had a strong footing in console action gaming as well. It seemed as though the docs from Canada had reached their peak. But as they revealed their next project, BioWare proved that the sky was not the limit. Tune in next time to see BioWare take on one of the greatest franchises of all time.